I'm sure that some of you are probably wondering, why are we here? The simple answer to that is, what's a baccalaureate service? But then again, what's that? So I took the advice of my teachers and probably some of yours and looked it up. Now, back when I was in school, that entailed a great big book called a dictionary. Maybe you've heard of one, but I just Googled it, so that's what we do these days. I saw 3 different definitions of baccalaureate. In some cultures, baccalaureate is a high school exam that you must pass in order to get into college. But I think that probably a lot of you seniors didn't have to take exams this year, did you? So that doesn't really apply. In other societies, it refers to the bachelor's degree you get when you complete college. We're not quite there yet. But that 3rd definition was the one that I thought most appropriate for this evening. It's a farewell address in the form of a sermon delivered to a graduating class. Now, before you all start groaning at the word sermon, I promise I'm going to keep this to an hour or 2. We're here to celebrate a landmark, a great accomplishment in your lives. Graduation from high school. It marks both the end and the beginning. It's the end of the years of grade school and junior high and high school. It's the beginning of a new adventure, for perhaps going on to college or enlisting in the military or starting a career or a family. One could say this is the end of childhood and the beginning of adulthood. Now, that step can take a variety of responses. Some people look at their future and think their destiny is controlled by fate. They figure that either the environment or genetics or maybe some unknown force in the universe have conspired to set them on a path that they can't control. So they face their future with a resigned sigh, and they'll just wait and see what happens. Other people look into their future with fear. It seems like there are terrorist attacks on the nightly news all the time, and they're getting closer and closer to home. There's a drug epidemic that are taking lives of all ages, people you'd never expect. And there's natural disasters, there's tragic accidents that are happening all around us. It makes some people afraid to even step out of their house. So they retreat to the familiar, to the comfortable, or they try to escape, maybe through alcohol or drugs. Still others see high school graduation as the beginning of freedom. Just think, no more homework, no more quizzes, no more tests to cram for, no more teachers and parents telling you what to do and when to do it. Unless, of course, you go into college, and then you got another 4 years of that. But with that in mind, I got to thinking about the Israelites after they left Egypt, after 400 years of slavery. Now, I realize 12 years of school isn't exactly 400 years of slavery. It just feels like it sometimes, right? And they were led out of Egypt, and God guided them to a land He had promised to them. He called it the Promised Land. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Now, before they entered the land, they chose 12 representatives, one from each of the 12 tribes, and they said, go spy out the land, check it out, see if it's all that it was cracked up to be. And when they returned, these spies were pretty much in agreement. They saw incredible opportunities. They said, this land flows with milk and honey. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase. That's where it comes from. They had one group or cluster of grapes that was so huge, 2 guys had to carry it on a pole between their shoulders. And this was before Miracle-Gro. I mean, this place was just everything that it was advertised and more. But there were impressive obstacles as well. There's giants in them that are hills. That's in the Hebrew text. Now, you think Shaquille O'Neal is impressive at 7'2" and 300 pounds? These guys stood around 9'9". These were the predecessors to Goliath. And we're told that Goliath's armor weighed 200 pounds. Could you imagine the basketball team these guys could make? And 10 of the spies focused on the giants, and they said, nope, we can't do it. We're like grasshoppers compared to these giants. We might as well just pack it in now. Maybe we should go back to Egypt. Now, 2 of the spies said, hold on, wait, we can do this. Remember, God said He was giving us the land. Let's trust Him and see what happens. Now, I'm sure that they probably looked at those 2 a lot like you'd look at me if I said I was going to go up one-on-one against LeBron James in a basketball game with my life on the line. You'd be thinking, are you some kind of an idiot? And I'm sure that's what they thought of those 2 guys. But they said, no, we can do this. But it was 10 against 2. And so the whole people of Israel turned around, away from the promised land, away from their future, and they went and wandered in the wilderness for 40 years until all of them died, except 2. Those 2 spies that said, yes, we can, that said, we can do this in the power of God, they lived to get into the promised land 40 years later. By the way, anybody know the names of those 2 spies? Anybody? I'm hearing them, just you're not confident enough to say it out loud. Joshua and Caleb. Those are very popular names today. I mean, I see that even in the list of some of the graduates, right? Can anybody name me one of the 10 who said they couldn't do it? They're all in Numbers 13 if you want to memorize them tonight. Every American loves a winner, right? As Americans, we're convinced the majority is always right. Here, a majority of 83% was dead wrong. Now, what made the difference between the 10 and the 2? They both saw the opportunities in front of them. And I'm sure that they both saw the obstacles as well. I don't think Joshua closed his eyes and said, gee, Caleb, I don't see any giants, do you? In fact, we read that 40 years later, once they get into the promised land, Caleb goes to Joshua, who's now in charge, and he says, hey, Joshua, you remember them giants on that mountain that we saw 40 years ago? Give me that mountain. And at the ripe old age of 85, Caleb conquered that mountain. He beat those giants. You say, well, that's impossible. How could it be? Here's the difference. 10 looked at their future with the eyes of fear, and 2 looked with the eyes of faith. It's not that Caleb grew to some superhuman, like some transformer. He had God. 10 saw the giants, 2 saw God. And that will always make the difference. You are about to embark on your own future. Each one of you has your own promised land. Now, they're not all the same. Every one of you have a path that's going to be different. But they're all filled with opportunities and obstacles. None of you are going to go through life without facing adversity. I know it's not popular in a gathering like this, but you're not always going to succeed. You're going to hear a lot of speeches and graduations that say, anything you put your mind to, you can do. I got newsflash for you. It ain't so. There are going to be a lot of things that we try and we fail. Thomas Edison, we all know him as the genius inventor who came up with the light bulb. Do you know that he had 1,000 failures before he got it right? That didn't make him a failure. He looked at it as 1,000 ways it wasn't going to work. He finally found the one that did. And we're all going to face that. We're all going to face these bumps in the road. We're all going to have setbacks. You may fail as much as you succeed. The important thing is, if you fail, don't quit. If life knocks you down, don't stay down. Get up, get going, and keep your eyes on God. You see, Jesus Christ said in John 15:5, "Without me, you can do nothing." But later you read in Philippians 3:19, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." He really does make all the difference in the world. See, your future is not wrapped up in fate. Your future need not be wrapped up in fear. Your future should be wrapped up in faith. And when it is, wherever life takes you, God is already there. He's already there preparing your path. That doesn't mean it's going to always be easy. He's not going to take you out of all of life's difficulties. Most of the time, He'll take you through them, because it is true that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It really does. But with your eyes on God, not even the sky is the limit. I want to say congratulations, class of 2017.